Hello and welcome to Behind the Mask, Thriving in Healthcare, a podcast created for healthcare employees to explore not only issues relating to mental and emotional health, but also unique challenges that those working in healthcare are faced with. Your hosts are Adina Tucker, a licensed clinical social worker with Dartmouth Health, and Jennifer Hensey, an MSW also with Dartmouth Health. Welcome. This is our first episode of Behind the Mask, Thriving in Healthcare. And today we are going to be talking about the holidays and what that actually looks like for some of us, the dread that can surround upcoming obligations, and how to take back the joy of the holiday season. I don't know about anyone else, but growing up, there were a lot of television shows that I watched, movies that I watched that depicted these happy, loving families where everyone enjoyed spending time together. And if someone hurt someone else's feelings, they felt bad, they apologized, maybe they even learned a lesson. At some point, we all realize that not all families are that way. And even if your family is mostly pretty healthy and self-aware as a group, sometimes the obligation and expectation of the holidays can feel like too much. Once you're older, maybe you don't live nearby anymore, or maybe you have a partner and their family lives in a different place than yours does. Or maybe you have children. You could have a demanding job, and the holidays are the only time that you'll have off to unwind for months and months. Any of these things can lead to the obligation and expectations around holidays with our families that feel more like stress than joy.
Yes, as a society, those who veer from the norm of flocking to family gatherings can be judged or made to feel guilty even by non-family members. Have you ever been talking about holiday plans with a coworker, and maybe you or someone else in the conversation says that they aren't going to visit family because they wanted to do something for themselves? Did anyone make a comment like, I can't imagine not going to see my family. I bet your mother or father will really be hurt. It can be a common reaction, and it makes it more difficult for us to set boundaries that protect our peace and emotional health.
Nedra Glover Tawwab is a licensed clinical social worker and a mental health therapist, and she does a lot of work around boundaries. If it's something you struggle with, I highly recommend her books. But I mentioned her because she did an interview where she specifically talked about setting boundaries to manage unhealthy family relationships. And what she spoke to was that when COVID first started, and for some time afterward, most people couldn't be with their families during the holidays. So they spent the holidays focusing on what would make the holidays more enjoyable for them. Once things started to open up, there was this expectation again that holidays would be spent together. And what she noticed was clients saying they enjoyed their holidays for the first time in years when they spent it doing what they wanted to do and they didn't have to spend the holidays with their families. But there was this feeling of guilt and obligation to do what their families wanted them to. So, what we'd like to do for this episode is talk about why you might want to create some boundaries for yourself, specifically around the holidays, what that might look like, and then give you some examples of how you might put that into practice.
If we look at the holiday season outside of our family expectations, that can include a lot of things: office parties, friend group parties, invitations to ornament exchanges or cookie exchanges. Your schedule can fill up rather quickly, leaving you overwhelmed and stressed out. One thing you might want to consider doing is being selective about what invitations you accept or events you attend. Think about the event itself and whether or not it seems like something you would truly enjoy, or if you feel like it's more of an obligation to go. What does your week look like? Do you feel like adding one more thing to it? Will it leave you feeling depleted? Give yourself permission to decide to only agree to things that will bring you joy and enhance your life. Another thing that can be stressful about the holidays is the amount of gift giving that we feel obligated to do. Budgets can really take a hit with the amount of gifts that we sometimes end up having to buy for various people or parties. You may want to consider setting a boundary that you're going to set a limit on gift giving, either in who you're giving gifts to or the amount of money that you're spending.
And sometimes the people we spend time with during the holidays can have different beliefs than us. Maybe those people want to constantly challenge our beliefs or views and they want to debate. things can get heated and everyone can become uncomfortable. It definitely can lead to a holiday gathering feeling anything but festive. Along with that can come unacceptable words or behaviors, and you may feel that you have to stand up against those things that are said that just aren't okay, or any unwanted behaviors that typically occur from someone. All of these things can take a toll on our emotional health even before they happen, especially if it's something we expect. And then during that and afterwards, because we feel drained, angry, or sad. So, how can you set a boundary once you've decided you need to? If you aren't accustomed to setting boundaries, it may be more difficult because you may worry that you're going to hurt someone's feelings. You may have feelings of guilt, or the person may actually try to make you feel guilty or push back. All of these things are completely normal and to be expected when we change what we allow. It's normal to feel guilty when we're doing something that's best for us. However, that does not mean that you shouldn't set the boundary. As you practice figuring out your boundaries and setting them and enforcing them, which is almost as important as setting the boundary in the first place, you will eventually feel better and you will feel less guilty as you do it more and more. Setting a boundary is just a way of taking care of yourself. It isn't meant to hurt anyone else, and the focus is completely on you and what is best for your life. So let's dive in a little bit.
So let's say you are just invited to come to a neighborhood holiday potluck party. You have something the next night that you're looking forward to, but work is busy. If you go, you'll have to bring a dish, bring cookies, bring a gift for the gift exchange, and you just aren't sure how you'll fit that into your busy schedule. Also, you aren't very close with your neighbors, and while they are lovely people, you'd really just like to block off a night for watching movies in your PJs. But this neighbor has been saying they'd love to get together for a while, and you're worried you'll hurt her feelings. One way you could respond is, I'm so complimented to be invited, and it sounds like such a great time. Unfortunately, I have too much going on right now, and I won't be able to attend this year. Let's say the neighbor insists, oh, you don't have to bring anything if you're busy, just show up and hang out. You can respond with something like, that's so kind of you. I'm going to have to decline, but let's schedule a time to have dinner after the first of the year when things have calmed down for me. If you'd like to spend time with the person but need to protect your time, or you just don't want to go to this party, this would be a great way of enforcing your boundary while also showing that you're interested in the friendship. But this particular event is a no for you.
Now, what about that relative that is always trying to discuss things with you that you disagree on, and the discussion always gets heated? Maybe they aren't respectful, and that's why. Whatever the reason, if you've decided what's best for you is to avoid talking about a certain subject, you will have to set that boundary. So let's say you're at the gathering and this person walks up and starts talking about the topic that you're trying to avoid. You could respond by saying, I appreciate you feel strongly about whatever the topic is. I feel strongly about it too, but I think that it's best that we avoid talking about it so we can just all focus on having a good time together. The person may say, you know what, that's fair. Or they may try to pull you back with promises of it all being in good fun and a healthy debate. If there is pushback, you can simply say, I understand how you feel, but I don't want to discuss this topic, and I'd love to find something else to talk about if you're interested. Sometimes we also have relatives or friends of the family who don't understand consent or physical boundaries. Maybe this person gives compliments or makes statements that make us feel uncomfortable. In some circles, everyone will agree that this person is out of line, but it's almost brushed off like, oh, you know how Uncle so and so is, just ignore him. Often, even if we want to protest or call the behavior out, no one else will. If you ever feel uncomfortable, you have every right to let them know that, and that in the future, you're not going to tolerate that type of comment or behavior. Sometimes being very direct can be a shock to stop such behavior by saying something along the lines of, please don't say that to me, or please don't do that to me. It makes me uncomfortable, even if you mean it as a compliment.
Exactly. And while there are plenty of ways that we may want to set boundaries with others, sometimes the boundaries that we need to set are with ourselves. Often, we can overburden ourselves by taking on the responsibility for everyone else's happiness. We are not responsible for everyone else enjoying their holidays. Sometimes we will tolerate unacceptable behavior or conversations because we feel if we were to protest, then others would be uncomfortable because we are causing the fuss. But we each deserve to feel loved, joy, excitement, and peace during our holidays. Some final takeaways that can help you reflect on what you want and need for yourself during the holidays and how you might attain those things. Block time for resting, especially if you have several things booked. Give only what you can afford to, both financially and emotionally. Don't task yourself with creating a perfect holiday, especially if you're the one hosting. Lower your standards to what you actually feel comfortable with. Delegate tasks to others and allow yourself to cut corners where you can so you don't become overwhelmed. Limit the amount of time you're around emotionally charged people and situations. Make time for yourself. Know your limits and honor those, even if it upsets someone else. Say no when you need to. We hope this has been a helpful episode. We wish you all a healthy and happy holiday season.
Thank you for joining us this week. As always, if you'd like more information and support, please check out our site at dartmouth-health.cobalt.care for additional content, connection to resources, support groups that you can sign up to attend, or to connect to one of our clinicians for counseling, psychotherapy, or medication evaluation. We appreciate you listening and hope you have a wonderful week.